there playing pool in that kaba. I had 2 blades. Immediately I thought, let us try, because I know this lady, she normally passes here and buy some fruits. Immediately, these guys did not even stop. I tried to tell my friend, let us chase. But we feared because these guys were armed, because we had almost like 3 borders there, my friends. Then they were scared. They said, no, we are not going to chase these guys because they are armed. They just took up to Nigeria.
Aristotle, the Greek philosopher, once said that poverty is the parent of revolution and crime. He was absolutely right. Poverty sure makes people angry and heartless, willing to do anything just for a little money. But when 4 men agree to assassinate a prominent judge for a small amount of 500,000 Ugandan shillings each, that completely shocks the whole nation. Welcome back to Tavern Crime Chronicles. Here we explore mysterious, chilling, solved and unsolved cases, approaching them with empathy and extensive research. If you have the nerve for fascinating stories, this is your channel. So, grab a drink and hydrate while I take you through the heartbreaking story of a woman assassinated in front of her own children. Today's story takes us to Kiwatule, a Kampala suburb, bordered by Nigeria, Nauya and Ntinda, among others. Kiwatule is mainly a middle-class neighborhood, with a number of commercial establishments setting ground every day. Kiwatule boasts of having beautiful apartments for the rich, among which are the Sunset apartment complex developed by National Housing and Construction Company. But in this affluent vicinity, a murder was witnessed on one early evening when a mother, a wife, a judge was shot dead in front of her children after she parked her car to buy fruits from a roadside stall. This is the story of Joan Kagezi. Born Joan Namatsi on the 14th July 1967 to parents Kagwas Serwada and mother Mrs. Serwada of Lutiti village in Rakai district. She attended Nisube Primary School from 1973 to 1980. She later went to Mount St. Mary's College Namagunga, an all-girls senior secondary school for both her O-level and A-level education. In 1987, she joined Makerere University to study law and graduated in 1990 with a Bachelor of Laws degree. She was relentless in her quest for more, and in 1992, she earned a diploma in legal practice from the Law Development Center. She was on a pursuit for a master's in business administration from the Eastern and Southern African Management Institute at the time of her death. However, while at Makerere University, she did not only bag a degree but also found love, her future husband, Henry Morton Kagezi, with whom they had 4 children, 2 boys and 2 girls. They enjoyed a good life together until his unfortunate demise in 1996, where he died of natural causes. Left alone to be both the father and mother to their children, she took up the mantle with confidence, worked hard at her career and shot through the ranks, becoming the senior principal state attorney in 2007, a year after his death. You see, throughout her May 23, 2024 career as an attorney, Kagezi served as a public servant with the government of Uganda. Straight out of the Law Development Center in 1992, she secured a position as the land officer in the Ministry of Lands, Housing and Urban Development. In May 1994, she was appointed a state attorney in the Ministry of Justice and Constitutional Affairs. She received a promotion in February 2002 to principal state attorney, and in August 2007, she was promoted to senior principal state attorney. The frequent promotions are evident to her good work and dedication, for in January 2015, Joan Kagezi was appointed head of the International Crimes Division, at the rank of Assistant Director of Prosecutions. Throughout her years of service, Joan Kagezi participated and led many cases, of which some were prominent, televised, and greatly followed by the citizens. Among them were the prosecution of Ugandan-born Australian cardiologist Aggrey Kiyingi for the assassination of his wife, lawyer Robina Kasiri Kiyingi. She was gunned down in July 2005 outside the gate of the family mansion in Buziga, an upscale neighborhood in Uganda's capital, Kampala. The state lost that case. The trial and conviction of former Arua municipality, Akbar Hussein Godi, whose wife was killed on December 4, 2008 in Mukono district. In February 2011, Godi was sentenced to 25 years in prison after being convicted of murdering Rehema Caesar Godi, who was 19 years old at the time of her death. The prosecution and conviction of Kampala businessman Thomas Onkulungira, also known as Tonku, whose girlfriend was killed sometime between 21 and 30 December 2010. Her body was dumped in the septic tank at Nkulungira's house in Muyanga, a Kampala neighborhood. On August 13, 2011, a judge sentenced Tonku to death for capital murder. The prosecution of Thomas Coelho, a warlord in the LRA, Lord's Resistance Army, on charges of kidnapping, murder, rape, and human mutilation and torture. The trial was terminated when Uganda's constitutional court granted Coelho amnesty. On appeal, however, the Supreme Court of Uganda reversed that decision on April 8, 2015, sending the case back to the Uganda High Court for trial. The prosecution that was ongoing when Kagezi died was of 13 individuals accused of participating in the July 2010 Kampala attacks, which occurred during the 2010 FIFA World Cup final match, killing at least 74 people. Unfortunately, the last straw did break the camel's back. The July 2010 Kampala twin bomb attacks, which occurred during the live broadcast of the 2010 FIFA World Cup final match, were orchestrated by the Al-Shabaab terrorist group, killing 74 people and others injured. The first bombing was carried out at the Ethiopian Village restaurant, situated in the Kabalagala neighborhood. 15 people were killed in this attack, with many of the victims being foreigners. The second attack, consisting of 2 explosions in quick succession, occurred at 11:18 p.m. at Kayadando Rugby Club in Nakawa, where state-run newspaper New Vision was hosting a screening of the match. According to eyewitnesses, there was an explosion near the 90th minute of the match. Few seconds later was followed by a second explosion that knocked out the lights at the field. An explosion went off directly in front of a large screen that was showing the telecast live from South Africa, killing about 49 people. The discovery of a severed head and leg at the rugby field suggests that it was a suicide attack carried out by an individual. What followed was tension in the country, as the Ugandan police, together with Interpol, searched and arrested the terrorists, later arraigned 13 men for prosecution and eventual sentencing of the guilty suspects. The lead prosecutor in the Kampala July 2010 Kampala twin bomb attack trial was Joan Kagezi, the Assistant Director of Public Prosecutions and head of the International Crimes Division, which began in early March 2015 in the High Court of Uganda. Unfortunately, Joan Kagezi did not live to see its end, for she was assassinated on March 30, 2015. In mid to March 2015, 4 men had meeting in which the unthinkable act was planned. John Kibuka, Daniel Kiseka, Masajaje John, and Nasser Mugamo met briefly at Mambula Stage, Kizalasalo, and proceeded to Kibuka's home in Kibando. They held a meeting in Kibuka's house and confirmed availability of 2 buttless SMG rifles, and in the same meeting, Kibuka told the group that Kagezi was the target because he was handling cases involving Muslims. He plainly said, scratching the surface of the real matter. She was the target because of the pivotal role she played in terrorism cases, and the now trial of the 13 suspects accused of orchestrating the 2010 Kampala twin bombings. For them to destabilize the case and create fear, they had to kill the lead prosecutor, who they knew was very good at her job. According to the investigations, Kibuka told the rest of the group members that the mission offer was $200,000, approximately Ugandan shilling 776 million, but a deposit of 2 million shillings was readily available. On the same day, using Mugamo's motorcycle, the 2 guns were taken to Kibuka's home in Kanyanya for cleaning and safe custody. On the fateful day, the 4 met at Kibuka's home for the final briefing and agreed to set off for the mission at 5 p.m. And when their time reached, they converged under a mango tree in Kibando, Kizalasalo, where they distributed the guns and shared the 2 million deposit, with each taking 500,000 Ugandan shillings only. Because they had trailed her for quite some time and knew her routine, the four set off for Kiwatul on 2 motorcycles and with the 2 guns, with Masagaji carrying Kibuka on the motorbike and Mugamo carrying Kiseka. They arrived at Kiwatul around 5:30 p.m. and waited at a nearby supermarket. March 30th, 2015. As the evening sun slowly went down over the horizon and the evening darkness fell, ushering the night in, people passed by, all seeming in a rush to get home before it's late. Different cars all sped fast to their different abodes, and among them was Joan Kagezi's official vehicle, a Ford double-cabin pickup. Her intended destination was her home in the adjacent neighborhood of Najera. In the pickup with her were 3 of her 4 children, 2 girls and 1 boy. She stopped at a fruit stall near the supermarket, something that she did almost every day to buy fresh fruit and vegetables. One of the girls left the vehicle to pick up the products while the rest stayed in. While the girl was walking back to the car, she saw a man approach the truck. He knocked on the driver's window, which was closed, appearing to be making an inquiry. When Kagezi opened the window, the man shot her twice in the neck at close range. He quickly peeped in the car to make sure she was dead, and then jumped on the back of the motorcycle that was impatiently waiting. He fired into the air to cause tension and disperse road users so as to clear the escape route. And with another motorcycle closely following, they rode off quickly towards Najera and disappeared into the darkness to their hideout in Naburu. They would later proceed to Bunamwea Kajansi, where they committed yet another murder and armed robbery. Meanwhile, passerbys who had heard the gunshots quickly came to the scene, and the screams of the children, who were now out shouting for help, confirmed that it was the prominent judge Joan Kagezi that had been assassinated. Police were called and quickly came and condoned off the scene of crime, with investigations starting almost immediately. Kagezi was quickly rushed to Mulago National Referral Hospital, where she unfortunately was pronounced dead on arrival at about 8:00 p.m. At the young age of only 47 years, Joan Kagezi went to meet her maker. She would later be buried on April 2, 2015, at her Bukasa village in a befitting burial ceremony that was highly attended by state dignitaries who expressed their disdain for the murderers. At the scene of crime, Boda rider onlookers were so quick to give a description and even mentioned that they wanted to chase after the shooters, and quickly changed their mind for fear of being shot, as the men were armed. The nation was engulfed in fear as the Inspector General of Government addressed the nation and promised to apprehend the murderers. Meanwhile, the killers Kibuka, Kiseka, and Mugamole would 3 days later go to a shrine in Kayunga for ritualistic cleansing. They requested the witch doctor to tie the prosecution and prevent them from being arrested. And one would say it almost worked, because the case sadly stalled for a long 8 years, despite the investigators' efforts, the heavy funding, and the President Yoweri Museveni's personal interest in the case. But like they say in one Nigerian adage, every day's for the thief, and one day for the owner, the murder suspects were eventually arrested and charged to court. 3 of the 4 had earlier been arrested and remanded on other charges, including aggravated robbery, and during their sentence were heard boasting to having murdered Joan Kagezi, the witch doctor who had performed a ritual on them. Also, after having been arrested on a totally unrelated criminal offense, confessed to having done the deed and even identified the 4 men in return for protection and immunity from Kagezi murder case. Forensics were properly done. Their phones were also tracked, and conversations plotting the murder were retrieved. Through various testimonies, it was discovered that Kibuka and Masagaje were neighbors, and on the day Kibuka was arrested for a totally different case, Masagaje ran and abandoned his residence. He became a fugitive in Buvuma Islands, where he disguised doing different jobs, including shoe repairing and boda riding, to avoid detection. Investigators revealed that Masagaje even changed his name to Brian Mubiru. However, Masagaje ran out of luck in August 2023 when he was arrested from Wandegea doing his boda business, and after being questioned about the Kagezi murder and terrorism. He denied any knowledge. Having proved beyond reasonable doubt the 4 accused suspects were arraigned before the Chief Magistrate Arias Kakuza in Nakuo Court to be charged with terrorism and murder. However, he has committed the accused persons to the International Crimes Division of the High Court for trial since he doesn't have jurisdiction over the capital offenses of murder and terrorism which the accused persons are facing. But as we await the final verdict, we pray that they will face the maximum punishment for the crime committed. And since we can never turn the clock back in time, we only hope that Kagezi's family finds solace in knowing that her killers were brought to justice. Her quest for justice and contribution to the country's judicial system will forever be remembered. And this pretty much sums up our case for today. As usual, kindly share your thoughts in the comments section below, and you can as well mention the cases you would like us to cover. Thank you for watching, and see you next time.